council user pays.
Well,
I don't think so, to be honest. As I mentioned to you, it's usual for bus transport support for an event to be the responsibility of the event promoter. But there have been instances in the past where we have at least offered through Anne Redgrave to do some facilitation. Not that it came to anything, but I think that's how this can be dealt with. If there's a sit down with the trust and they outline what they want to achieve, then we package something up and put to the bus companies, see what they would charge, and maybe there can be some sponsorship, but your targeted rate, you couldn't use your targeted rate towards this, and NZTA wouldn't contribute either, because it's not subsidised, scheduled public transport. But there may be a way to help.
Mr. Chair, I thought about this last night, and what we have is this wonderful event, Art Deco event, and they're trying to link up Ahuriri especially, not so much Hastings, but the Ahuriri linkage. If we could have a bus, and I go to it every year so I know the congestion, if there was a bus running between the major event and around, really a loop, maybe two buses running around loops, not funny Mike, it's deadly serious, because we need to make this happen. We can put all the barriers in the world in place, but if you had a couple of buses running backwards and forwards there, they can bring Ahuriri in, which is what they're trying to do, and all those restaurants and bars along the edge there, which is sensational, and all they want, and you can't take cars backwards and forwards, it's just hopeless because the parking's miles away and you can't be bothered. But if there was a bus running on the major 2 days backwards and forwards, it would be a serious addition to that event. And I think we should take a good hard look at it and say, how can we help these people? They're doing the most marvellous thing, and all they're asking us is, and not for free, I mean, people will pay $1 just to go around there, or $2, whatever it is, but it would really add to the event, and we need to stop looking at barriers and make a way to make it happen.
Who's looking at barriers? No, I am not. I'm looking at ways to help, but being practical about it. Well, I disagree with you.
So the request would be for increased service, pretty much, isn't it? And, and there's no way we can do that within the existing contract?
No.
No.
Well,
okay.
I'm almost, unfortunately, Mrs. Redgrave's not here this week, so I can't ask her definitively, but my recollection of the contract is no, you couldn't do it for that. But however, she does have both the contacts and the expertise to be able to perhaps put together a package, and work with the Art Deco Trust and the local bus companies to get the best deal.
So the guy who bought the Art Deco buses, what's he doing during this? We're only talking about a week-long window.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So can somebody hire him out for the week?
He would have all sorts of charters at that time of the year under his own steam. Shall we buy a couple of buses? Is that what I'm hearing?
Chairman, I'm quite happy to move this. We referred to the transport manager to investigate a package that could be put together and taken...
And provide a solution.
And to work with the Art Deco Trust.
To provide a solution. We actually need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need that level. So you're happy to move that? Yeah. And Councillor Graham's happy to second that? I don't know. It's not strong enough for you? You happy to second that? You wish to speak, Councillor Scott?
No, I live here and I know what the congestion is, and us locals, we walk. But people from Hastings probably don't have as long legs. But there certainly is a need to get people around, and the more we keep cars out of it, the better experience that is offered. And it is a really good case of people using public transport rather than congesting the area with private cars. So I think it's finding a solution is a really good one.
It's not just a matter of Ahuriri either, going the link along there. It's also the Taradale, because where I live actually in Napier South, I walk into town because I know I can't get parking in town, and that congestion is a major issue. But I just see cars and cars and cars coming in along Kennedy Road from Taradale, coming in there, and yet there's nowhere to park. They've got to park a hell of a long way away. So I think if there was some sort of solution to this, and the Transport Manager I think will sort of put something together, but if there was some way in which we could get some sort of regular buses, you know, Art Deco weekend buses that going in from Taradale and also from Ahuriri, then I think would be fine. I think that would be a great solution.
It's potentially a very good sponsorship opportunity, you know, because a bus makes a very big, moving, prominent signboard.
So just while we're in discussion, I'll take an opportunity to speak. The power of the internet. Megan has just come back and said that actually they do put on extra buses throughout that time, the company anyway. But
Who said that?
Megan Wellsby.
Megan Wellsby.
Oh,
But we're in discussion here. But in debate, I should say, the long and the short of it is, I agree with Councillor Graham. We need a solution. Surely we can get this one going. Mover, wish to sum up? Thank you. I'll put that motion in. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Right. Submitters. One's just walked in. Have you got an entourage coming this afternoon? Would you be happy to speak now?
I would be stoked. I'll have to leave my daughter at home.
Well, look at that, eh? We aim to please here, Mr. Bailey, at the council, as you know.
What number am I?
You are number 3,
Number 3.
early submitter.
Part 1.
Part 1,
Three.
page I. So, just so we're clear, 10 minutes, as you probably can think back, 12 months. We like asking questions, but it's your time to do with as you wish. We've read your submission, so there's no need to speak to it unless you wish to add something, etc. But the time is yours, and it starts now.
Thank you. Kia ora, koutou katoa. Thank you for taking the time to hear my submission. Firstly, I'd like to thank you all for attempting to improve the engagement around the long-term plan process by implementing the Big Six discussion process and how that happened. Staff, especially Liz, has already acknowledged that things could have been done better, but for a first attempt I think it demonstrated a slight shift in culture for the good with Regional Council. On Sunday I spent all morning at the market on Marine Parade manning a Green Party stall. I was after signatures on a petition about cleaning up the Waikato River. As some of you know, I'm quite fond of talking about things, and the issues of water and climate change were raised a number of times unprompted. The public anger about the way HBRC is managing water issues in the Hawke's Bay is palpable. Most of the people I spoke to on Sunday used the word corrupt. This was something of a challenge for me, because for all our differences, I've never considered you who sit round this table make decisions for personal financial gain. Stupidity, ego and arrogance maybe, but never personal financial gain. Yeah. Look, when I find myself having to defend your integrity, I think you have a real problem of perception that cannot be ignored or swept under the carpet. Let this be a wake-up call for you, please. The other thing I've got a sense of is that there is genuine concern about the effects of climate change and what it's going to have on our community, but that we can't do anything about it. This is nonsense, of course. They were pleased that the Green Party was publicly discussing and taking the government to task about the issue, but felt that there was no one else in authority showing leadership on climate change. This is why I found it disappointing that whilst HBRC acknowledges that climate change is a strategic issue, by proposing no specific initiatives for reducing carbon and regional emissions, you ignore one of the major contributors to climate change. Why spend millions of dollars on a cure without treating the symptoms? You have some plans to mitigate infrastructure challenges, which is really good. You're really good at doing engineering stuff. But what are you doing to become carbon neutral? Yesterday I challenged the Napier City Council to work towards becoming carbon neutral. I threw down the gauntlet and make the same challenge to you now. The thing is, with all your forestry plantations and whatever you've got, you're probably already there. So why not trumpet it to the world? Give the people out there something to hang on to. I'm sure it's just a matter of doing your budgets and actually making them publicly available. In World War I and World War II, there were hundreds of divisions fighting on behalf of the Allies. New Zealand contributed one in each of those wars, one out of hundreds. Was our contribution worthless because it was so small? I think not. Both times, our division excelled and is still spoken of as being one of the best, not only by our allies, but also by our enemies. If we were prepared to make a minor contribution to the numbers in war, why do we find it so difficult to do so in peace? To do nothing is to surrender. I don't think the citizens of Hawke's Bay want you to surrender about climate change. I think the citizens of Hawke's Bay want you to fight. I now wish to move on to the Narurua water storage scheme. I have to ask, what on earth are you thinking? Given the way the Ruafatanafa water storage scheme has been handled to date, how can you possibly imagine that the people of Hawke's Bay are ready to go through all that again? At the last annual plan consultation process, I spoke to you about better engaging the public and stuff. A couple of lines in the Big Six document is not leading the discussion. It is hiding it away, to my mind. Has HBR had any press releases or held public meetings around this investment? Has any debate been had in the public about committing ourselves to this funding, apart from what's in the Big Six document? The mistrust to HBRC is generated in the wider Hawke's Bay community by the way in which the $80 million funding proposal was managed for the Ruafatanafa water storage scheme is very real and should be of great concern for you all. 2 paragraphs in the 2012 long-term plan was hardly sufficient, yet you're attempting to do exactly the same thing here. Continuing approval of the $30 million in funding for the Narurua water storage scheme without open and transparent scoping work being completed will only exacerbate this level of mistrust. Again, thank you for your time, although sometimes I wonder why. I like to finish on a positive note, but find myself struggling to find anything of major consequence. The stalling of the tank group due to incompetence in facilitation, that's the only way I can describe it, and lack of science to my mind is an indication on how poorly you are functioning at present. You have had some small wins though, which, with making a start with energy futures, possum control and native plantings. But if I had to rate the overall performance of the Hawke's Bay Regional Council as an organisation, it'd have to be a D-. In our thank you.
Any questions? Councillor Scott.
Carbon neutral. Would you say driving up and down the street tooting horns madly is contributing to carbon neutrality?
Would I consider that driving up and down tooting horns is contributing to carbon neutrality? Why do you ask that, Councillor Scott?
Because that's exactly what was done. And
Well, hang on.
Sorry,
It's not a question relevant to the submission, Councillor Scott.
fair enough.
Any other questions? No questions. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Bailey.
Yep,
And
no worries.
let you get back home to the youngster.
Yeah,
And
I can see my phone off and stuff. That's all great. Thanks for that.
Thank you for your submission. We will be